welcome to Chris Parkin Shooting Sports. Today we've got some very interesting Hill quad sticks. Now Hill are well known for making air compressors for air rifles, but they've used some of that knowledge to actually make hydraulic quad sticks. Now you think hydraulic quad sticks, what's that all about? But essentially on these sticks we've got two little valves here, and what that allows us to do is when the quad sticks go out, we can actually pan and they will move with all the valves. You can feel the oil moving around between them. Now you think, what's that all about? Well, the reason is this, because when you've got in your shooting position, you can actually fully pan. You know, most of the time before you'd have to move your sticks like this with one hand on one leg and move it around. But the thing with these is that we can actually totally smoothly pan like that, using the sticks themselves and the oil flowing through them to dampen and balance the aiming position. So you've got a huge broad field of view when you're tracking. And with quarry 150 metres away, you can actually pan 300 metres left and right. Now, this is a 17 HMR. I've got a Pard on here which has got a camera on board, which I've used basically so you can see what I can see and see how smooth the movement is through the scope. Of course, many people are going to want to use sticks like this for foxing or deer stalking, but rabbit control is another factor that you might want to use them for. But I'm going to do this with this camera just because it's naturally going to show you what's going on. So let's start recording. I'm going to take a few shots on a few steel gongs. I'm not, drifting too far, but you'll see the idea of what's going on with it. So we've got two valve levers here, and we can basically move from completely free movement like this, or we can go sort of central, which gives us a little bit more damping, stiffens up the movement slightly. But if I move it all the way to the left, it completely locks the stick in position, and then back all the way there, we can move freely again. And it's exactly the same on the front of the rifle too. So if you wanted to say lock the front and just move the rear, you can do that, or vice versa, whatever suits you for the shooting scenario you're in. But I'm going to leave them both in the center with the damping on, and now I'm going to take 3 shots. Now, of course, one of the major benefits, as well as the legs themselves being actually telescopic and silent, you don't have to move the feet, so you won't get them stuck in brambles or leaves or anything like that, and that will in itself make far less noise and be far less inconvenient when you are trying to move around quietly in the woods when hunting or out on fields or in crops. You can see how far I can pan left and right, and of course that doesn't stop me at all from lifting one foot if I want to change position completely, but you do get that smooth stability when you're aiming with it. The yokes here have got inserts on them which are sort of hard rubberized to grip into the rifle, and you can, if you want, twist them around if you wanted to lock one end of the gun in completely, for example. The sticks entirely are 173 centimetres tall, and you can control the height easily by splaying the legs backwards and forwards, left to right. There isn't a hydraulic length control because the hydraulics are balanced so that it's always going to move left and right and balance the movement between the two sticks themselves, as you can see here like this. But by spreading the feet apart, you can change the distance and the height the sticks are at. Weight's just 1400 grams, so the carbon fibre aspect of the construction does keep weight down to a minimum. At the base of the legs, you've got rubber feet on here, but if you pop those off, that's over the top of a stainless steel spiked foot. And on the ground conditions today, I'd probably be better shooting with the spiked feet, digging into this hard gravel surface. The 2 levers on the back are brass. You can adjust those very easily from the shooting position. And of course, when the gun's out and on them, you're immediately in position, set up as you like, panning around like that, or if you're in a happy position, just lock them completely, and the gun is then incredibly stable once you've got into position. But I actually took those shots with them fully free moving because I like that dynamic nature of them. There's a little orange elastic cord here which just keeps them together, stops them moving around too much, and of course that allows you then to stretch them open if a little bit if you want more support on the length of the rifle. I tend to lock the rear yoke here against the back stud, and I'll lock the front against the bipod. I tend to leave a bipod on all the time, and it means I can push the front leg against that to give me more stability when I'm aiming. Just for safety's sake, I'm going to take the bolt out of this. But you can see here that I can just pan exactly where I want. And of course, you've still got your knees to give you a bit of height control. You can still splay your own feet to give you height control at the back. And of course, you can do that in correlation with where you put the feet at the front and pan around. And it just feels so fluid and dynamic. Yet with that damping capability switched on, it just makes it a little bit stiffer, gives you slightly more solid aim point. You're not having to move the feet at the quad sticks at all, and you can just move around. But you can see I'm having to put more effort in there with the damping on, flick the damping off, and it's much more free moving and very easy like that. The movement is totally silent, so there's no issues with spooking quiet or anything like that. And although you haven't got height adjustment, the same as some sticks have, you can dismantle these completely for travel purposes. The movement right and left is 45 degrees. Now that does depend ever so slightly on exactly how far apart you've got the feet and things like that, but you can see how much freedom of movement I've got with this thing. And it does allow you completely intuitive, smooth, calm control. It's really like being able to shoot freehand, but you are just more stable. Now you can practice this and synchronise it, be like a synchronised swimmer and make it all look very smooth and good, but you know, I got these, I started using them this morning, I'm very happy with them. I'm going to take a shot on that deer down there, so let's have a little go and see how we get on. So that's immediately quiet. I'm just going to drop that leg there, it's about the right height. I've got my damping in the centre. I'm just going to have a shot on this deer. It's about 130 metres. And that would seem adequate. Let's have another one just because it's fun. Well, I hope you enjoyed that little review of these Hill quad sticks. I think they're very inventive and they're certainly very intuitive in control as well. Having that freedom of smooth movement is quite new to me, and it really does feel so natural to be able to just squeeze the rifle to one side, just squeeze it back a bit, close your bolt down, you can just nudge it around and shoot completely naturally. So it's like being a more stable human, I think is the best way to put it. And realistically, like quad sticks do, they enable shooting precision like nothing did before quad sticks in any kind of manufacturing style arrived, because quad sticks do empower shooters. I think they're one of the most empowering things I've ever noticed, because they just give you a completely different ability to take shots with precision. But these maybe just move that to the next level. As I say, weight's 1400 grams, the overall height's 173 centimetres, and you can adjust the height of the sticks from your shooting position, because of course if you wanted to, you could kneel down, shoot from a kneeling position and splay them out wide, because you've then got that same stability and that same panning factor. If you wanted to, you could also dismantle them for transport, which is simple, and at the end of the day, they're made in the UK, which I think is quite nice in this day and age, and those stainless steel feet would probably have been a better choice for me to use on this hard gravel today, because they really do lock in position extremely well now. I just tempted to put those on because I didn't want to lose them in the meantime, but I'm actually going to leave them off now, put them in my pocket. And I've immediately got back into a shooting position, even in a non-perfect scenario. Drop that down a little bit, and that is me 100% comfortable now, on target. Close the bolt. Bang. Right, thank you for watching. Bye for now.